Hey, welcome to episode 16 of the Bad Batch podcast. Whether you've seen one Star Wars film, played some games, or have become a hermit and have mastered all content of the Star Wars universe, this podcast is for you. So I'm your co-host, Justin Samoy, and I'm also here with Drew Crispo.
What's up?
And BJ Davis.
Hello.
And today we have a very special guest, Drew Allegra. He is a longtime friend of Drew and myself. And I had the privilege of coaching him and making him into the man he is today. And I probably disagree with you on that, but it's okay. And
that's all true. Justin's the reason I'm here today. Huge fan of the podcast. Happy to be here.
Nice. Thank you, Drew. We're happy to have you. And before we dive into the Star Wars news and our topic today, which is season 7 of the Clone Wars, which we're all huge fans of, this is your spoiler warning. And also some spoilers for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because we're going to briefly talk about that since that episode did premiere this past Friday.
And you had a full weekend to watch it, so.
Mm-hmm. Wait, was that just this Friday? Okay, yeah. It's only been 3 days, but still.
Some time.
I think Monday's a spoiler lift for all those shows. So, so what did we think of that?
Overall, I love the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, I liked WandaVision a lot. Like, but this definitely had like more of a interconnected like MCU kind of Marvel feel to it for me. Like, I think we talked about during the WandaVision thing how that had its own feel to it. Like, it was its own like condensed story as far as like Wanda went and everything. So this was definitely kind of like a breath of fresh air to get back into the MCU, which we haven't had anything Marvel like a movie in over a year. You know?
Yeah, WandaVision was like kind of removed its own little storyline, still within the universe, but it really just focused on the 10, or I don't know, the characters that were just in that city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole ton of action in the episode, but what there was, especially with like Falcon in the beginning, like fighting through the helicopters, I thought that was like incredible.
Yeah,
I thought they shot that. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, I thought that was the best part. Like all the explosions, him flying through. I love that. I didn't have to think about any fan theories during that. I could just watch it.
You go, Joe.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure that Red Wing is gonna end up being Mephisto in this.
Oh yeah, I saw a bunch of TikToks saying this.
Yeah, I thought he actually had the most like Captain America like vibes he's had throughout all of it, where he's like just blocking everything with, like he's done that before, but he actually looked like a full-blown superhero.
Yeah, the way he uses the wings is like a shield and then also a weapon. It's like super cool, super Captain America vibe.
Yeah, it's sweet, and it's cool too, like what they did with this, because they definitely like needed to have the action in there off the bat and get that kind of like vibe for this whole series going, but also the character development in that was like nuts. Because I mean, Winter Soldier and Falcon were kind of like second tier characters, like heroes as far as like in the other movies and stuff went. But I feel like in this one, definitely like it's doing the same thing it did with like Wanda and Vision, where it's finally like showing you, these are like the top tier people like going forward, and they're gonna really dive into who they are and what they're about and stuff.
Yeah, I'm really excited for like the future, especially like when they meet. I think it's gonna be awesome. Like, because since they were like both kind of Captain America's sidekicks in the past, like now they like have the chance to take the spotlight. And one thing I'm excited for, like more than anything, is kind of the comedy aspect that's going to come, because I think if you ever watch like some of the like interviews with Anthony Mackie, like he's hilarious, like just in real life, like the way he just like I don't know if you know, but he has like beef with like Tom Holland, just always Tom Holland every time it's brought up. It's so funny.
Yeah, I think people actually started like getting on him for that, like all of the no offense to like fangirls, I don't know if a lot of fanboys did it, we'll just say fans were like just getting after Anthony Mackie for bullying Tom Holland. It's like, it's okay. Tom's fine.
Okay. He could dish it out too.
Yeah.
But I mean, he killed it in this episode. Like, especially, I mean, like we said, spoilers before, but like that final shot of that show, or the final scene when he's watching the TV and they show Kurt Russell's son as Captain America. Like I thought like he didn't even have to really say anything. Like he killed it, like with the acting in that, you know?
Yeah, no, he did a great job. I mean, all of them. Oh yeah, this is Wyatt Russell, by the way. If you've seen, I would like we just talked about this before we started recording, but
he looks so different without like a beard.
I know.
Yeah. He was in Black Mirror. He was in Everybody Wants Some, and the football, not football movie. Oh, 22 Jump Street. Yeah, plays Bazooka Joe or something like that. But yeah,
I feel like I wonder if they're gonna try to like get the audience to just also hate him. Like we kind of talked about before, where like that's where everybody kind of feels already right now, or if they're gonna try to be like, well, no, he can be cool too. Like,
I think the comic iterations of him, he's like become like a Captain America, like actually kind of a good guy and also bad guy. If I remember correctly, but I don't know.
Like an antagonist.
Yeah.
Well, this is a big question I know people were asking, and I don't know, I have like an opinion on it. Do you think by the end of this series that that Falcon will be Captain America, like have the title and the shield and everything and use the shield?
Yeah.
I don't know. He might rip the shield and then have like a red, white, and blue suit, but I don't think he'll take that name. One, because changing names for like toys and stuff, it's probably not a good idea. And then just for like fans in general, just like keeping up with everyone.
I know in the comics that he did take the mantle of Captain America, like he took the actual name and everything for a little. I don't know how far that went though.
Yeah, I think he will ultimately end up doing it. If not at the end of this series, then like that will lead into it happening in a movie or something. Because the thing is too, like I don't know how or what's gonna happen, because I heard somewhere that this like series is gonna tie in directly to 3 other MCU like movies. But when they kept pushing everything due to COVID and stuff, like WandaVision got pushed like from, I think it was supposed to be fall or midwinter. It got pushed to like February. And then, I mean, Black Widow and Winter Soldier kept getting pushed over and over, but they kept getting pushed together in the same span of time. Like WandaVision, they kind of like just kept pushing it to whenever.
Oh yeah, WandaVision wasn't supposed to be first originally.
Yeah, this somehow apparently people think is gonna connect somehow to the Black Widow movie, even though it's like a prequel. Like something in there is gonna connect, just because they keep harping on keeping them together.
Maybe they'll have the new Black Widow in it. What's her name?
Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
Maybe like.
Well, I wonder where that is like timeline taking place too. Like
apparently it takes place after Civil War. That's like in the blonde hair, but maybe they just say that so people don't like speculate too much. Because there's a way that Black Widow's still alive or something like that.
Yeah, my guess was gonna be like after Winter Soldier, like the second Captain America movie.
You think it's then?
Clone her.
I don't know. I just what I thought after watching it again.
Right.
Oh, also one other thing. Bucky going to therapy. Wanda could never do that.
True.
He got her there.
Yeah, he did get her there.
Yeah. That was actually a good scene. Like all those heroes need to go to therapy.
Yeah,
but the fact that he was there, and it was good seeing like an origin of like what he's dealing with, and also it was kind of funny in a way. Like
PTSD is hilarious. I agree.
The therapist was funny. She did a good job.
No, she did do a good job. And yeah, it's like it's hard to fit that all into a movie, so it makes sense that it shows the trauma of these TV shows, especially of these side characters, since they don't get a lot of screen time. Because I think Winter Soldier in Infinity War, even though he had a pretty good spot on the poster, he had like 2 minutes or Bucky, 2 minutes of screen time in Infinity War. But
I think a cool thing they could do with like Bucky, instead of giving Sam the mantle of Captain America, they could give it to Bucky, and like being that symbol could be like a way for him to deal with like all of that grief and being like a symbol of like hope and good, instead of being the Winter Soldier and trying to get that out of his past.
Yeah, the Winter Soldier has such a negative connotation.
Yeah. Exactly. That could be a way for him to like deal with the PTSD.
And he's still like that like third rule or whatever the therapist was talking about. She was like, he's no longer allowed to be like the Winter Soldier technically.
Yeah.
I also think it's funny that no one recognizes him at whatsoever, and like he just wears a leather jacket and a glove over his hand, and then
he got a haircut.
Yeah, got a haircut, and it's just like he's just a guy.
But they could completely recognize him in like Civil War when he was wearing a hat and covering his face.
Exactly.
I don't know if you guys saw, but there was like a big Easter egg in the beginning. So right after his like flashback when he like kills the guy's son, he wakes up and he's sleeping on the floor, and that's like a callback to the Captain America 2, the Winter Soldier, when Sam is talking about how when they come back from war, the bed is too soft.
Oh yeah, that's very true.
That is cool.
Yeah,
that's a good catch. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Two more things I want to touch on before we dive into the Clone Wars was Sebastian Stan. I know a couple years ago he signed on for 6 movies, and I was doing the math. So he's done 5 movies, and if this show is his 6th movie, I don't know. I haven't looked at any of their contracts and if he's extended it or not. So he could die. Cool.
I was thinking that what if he dies? I mean, he's from the 40s.
He's 106.
Yeah.
And it's great because he doesn't actually know how old he is, just because when he was a weapon. And when he's a weapon, like a cool one. But all that, and when he was frozen. So he just doesn't really know. Mm-hmm. And then also I like how without Tony Stark, and I know Tony Stark didn't even really like Sam that much because of what he did to Rhodey, that how the superheroes are just kind of broke without an Avengers campus. They've been gone for 5 years. They come back after Hulk brings them back, and then Tony dies and the campus is blown up. It's like,
I did love how they put Rhodey in there. I thought that was awesome.
Mm-hmm. I remember he said he'd be in it, and then I didn't expect him to be in like the first 10
I hope he's in it like more.
Opener.
But something I thought about too, I think I was talking to Mike about this, and I was like, just the speech at the end when they're like, oh, like America needs a symbol and a hero. It's like, A, first of all, you still have like 90% of the Avengers. And B, like literally what he's talking about, like the speech he's giving and all that like BS and everything he's talking about, it's like literally this was the reason that War Machine was created. Like War Machine was the exact same thing, and they're just like, I think we need another one. Like
War Machine was even Iron Patriot.
Iron Patriot, exactly. Yeah, like Rhodey is still in the military, and he's still there. They're just like, we need another one.
Yeah, and his suit just gets progressively bigger and bigger. It just looks like tougher.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, yeah, he's cool. I like Rhodey.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, where did they even get this new guy though? That's like the symbol. Is he like? Does he have any kind of super soldier serum, or is he just kind of like?
I think he's in the military.
I know his thing is like U.S. agent, and it's like John Walker. I don't know. That might.
Yeah, it's John Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I just like briefly probably touched up on his wiki page, but I don't even remember too much other than that he does like what we've seen. He does wear the Captain America suit. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I do like the bottom half of the suit. I didn't know I shared it a little bit. I'll share it again. Like I do think the red and blue stripes looks cool, but the ears so bad.
I don't like the A having like kind of trying to look like a star. I don't like that.
Mm-hmm. They had some graphic designer there. Oh, look, they have the little patch that the military wears.
He has a gun.
That's why he does have a gun.
His suit kind of reminds me of the superhero from The Boys. What's his name?
Oh,
the main guy.
Yeah, what is his name?
Dude, Homelander?
Homelander.
I was gonna say Starlander. That doesn't sound.
Star-Lord.
When I first saw this Captain America, I thought it was. I don't know if you guys seen The Crown. I mean, I didn't even watch this, but just the guy who played Prince Philip.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, he played Doctor Who too, right? He was.
Oh yeah, that was him.
Yeah, he was rumored to be someone in Star Wars at one point. They thought he was gonna be young Palpatine at one point. In something. But yeah, so I guess that'll wrap up.
One more thing. If they need funding, I think that's how they could bring in Danny Rand, like Iron Fist.
The immortal Iron Fist, protector of Kunlun, sworn enemy of the Herd.
Almost the richest person in MCU.
Yeah, and he's young too, so he's just he's probably just throwing cash if he's in this universe.
Nice.
But people also hated that show other than me. So
literally other than you.
I thought. So yeah, let's talk the Clone Wars. Drew has a fitting background for it. The final season. It's honestly like a very cinematic looking poster. And even if Anakin's right there in the center, we know, even though she isn't introduced until the 4th or 5th episode, the main character of this season is Ahsoka, or the main protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, honestly, it seems like everyone's really against her.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what you said right there is probably the best way to like kick off the what you would describe this season as cinematic. It was like a movie, like that. That's the absolute best way to describe it.
Yeah, sure. One thing definitely that's like just was such a step up from even the past Clone Wars was the animation is gorgeous in season 7. Like it was some of the best animation I've ever seen, especially like after watching, all the Clone Wars and then going to Rebels, which the animation I was not a fan of, and then coming back to this, which is even better, was just, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm pumped that they're continuing this animation style for the Bad Batch series coming up. Like,
yeah, it's really exciting.
Like you were right. It looked so good. Like something that jumps out to me that happened like right at the beginning of it is the scene on the bridge when they were on jetpacks and stuff like that. I thought that looked unreal.
Yeah,
like,
Anakin is so rad in that scene.
I know. That's what I have in one of my notes. How he just literally just walks up and he's looking down at Obi-Wan and he goes, "What are you doing down there?" And he just walks into the gunfire, does not care at all.
Yeah.
So cocky, but the chosen one.
And like going forward to like the way that they broke the season up, like, because I know like the other seasons are kind of all over the place when you look at them, and they're technically like not chronologically in order. There's like a certain way to watch them if you
really. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
like I think the first episode's like season 2, episode 16 or something like that.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like the way it happens in the timeline is not the release order. It's really weird if you want to look up like how to watch it. You're clicking all over the place. But
I think they've cleaned it up for the last 2 seasons.
One of the best examples of that is when you first meet Fives, Echo, and Heavy. They're on the Rishi Moon, and then that's in like season 1, I think. And then in season 3, we finally see them as clone cadets, and then they move into Shinies, and then eventually 501st.
Exactly. Yeah. And that had like an impact too on the structure of it, right? With the different arcs and stuff. Like the arcs in especially the first half of the Clone Wars are a little all over the place. It can be like kind of hard to follow. But the way they did this, I think it was just like extremely clean and really like kind of cool how they did it. Like as we all know, they did like 3 different arcs where you had the Bad Batch and then Ahsoka and her 2 friends,
the Martez sisters.
The Martez sisters, and then you had like the final 4 episodes, which was just Order 66, like a legit movie.
It was a masterpiece.
Yeah, I think that like you could literally say that is like Star Wars episode 2.5.
Yeah. How do you say 3 but not 3?
Yeah, exactly. Almost 3.
It's like the Lion King 1.5, where it just focused on Timon and Pumbaa.
The episode 3 prologue.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a good way to describe it.
It was also during it. It's great.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, someone that I think, I don't know, I definitely follow. I think the Bad Batch podcast follows them. He made an edit of like meshing all the movie with the last 3 episodes.
Was that Master Kenobi?
The editor Kenobi, yeah. And
Editor Kenobi, yeah. Shout out Editor Kenobi.
Yeah, I think it was like 4 hours. I know it was long, but still very cool. But yeah, and also just like talking on Ahsoka, this is my favorite iteration of Ahsoka. Like in like this animation, because when she's a kid, she's kind of off, and then Rebels, is okay, and then Rosario Dawson did a good job in The Mandalorian, but like this Ahsoka is.
Yeah, her with like the Mandalorian headpiece and then like the armor is just it's awesome.
And like think about where her character is too at this point. Like in Rebels and stuff, she's running around and trying to like figure everything out, but obviously she's also like being hunted too and everything. But in this point in time, she's kind of regaining her strength and coming to terms with like she's a Jedi, kind of, not really, but then she still like holds herself as that was her decision that she made, and then she like, so she's probably the strongest like she ever is within herself and stuff, and not scrambling to survive, I think is a good way that to put it, how she is, especially in like the last 4 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say like she's just very calm. She knows what she's doing. She's very, she analyzes things a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
She's like much more mature. Yeah.
Yeah, and I liked how they, like you said, Justin, like she definitely is the main character of this season, like without a doubt. Which, like, I guess in general, if you look at it through the entire series, like that's what they're kind of like moving towards. Like it's kind of like through her eyes in a way.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys saw, but Dave Filoni said, like, I don't know if it was a year ago or more recently, but he said, like, really what the Clone Wars was all about for him was the story of Rex and Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that makes a ton of sense. Like, and the way you see her interact with all of these like different people, like everyone from like you said, like Rex, to Bo-Katan, to like Anakin, the times that she does, and like even like Mace and everything. You get an encompassment of like the entire series and how things have unfolded in just those like short little interactions, because it kind of encompasses it all. But and it's cool too, because it gives us more of like an emotional weight when we see them in other series, like obviously Mandalorian, and I'm sure like going forward and a bunch of other stuff we're going to see like in her series.
Yeah, and also gives like the movies more meaning, because you also know that she's like always in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, like, especially that like it helps show how she's such a big part of Anakin's like more like realistic gradual fall to the dark side of what what happens to her in season 5, where she's framed and all that stuff. He loses more faith in the Jedi Order, and that kind of gives it so much more meaning when he actually just does fall to the dark side.
Mm-hmm. And two, like I remember when we were doing our Rebels episode and I was watching some of those again, the Twilight of the Apprentice with Maul. I think that after seeing this, like the final 4 episodes gave it so much weight, like with her obviously not trusting him and all this stuff because of everything that like went on during those 4 episodes.
yeah.
Clone Wars bringing back Maul was like such a great idea.
Oh yeah, fantastic. And what a big piece of the puzzle he was to this season. And I thought it was kind of cool, like just for them to show how it's Order 66 was like so much bigger than even we had known. Just
because we saw the younglings die, and then we saw like 5 or 6 Jedi die in like a little montage.
Yeah,
but they're going after literally any Force user whatsoever. Like they're gonna just kill them all in his cage,
execute him.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, and this season also did a good job of like tying up some loose ends, because in Rebels, Ahsoka's like, the last time I saw Anakin, he was running off to save the Chancellor. And then before season 7 came out, it's like, no, Ahsoka just kind of left like the temple. But then literally like in this season, I forget which episode, it might be
it's 9.
9? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's after the whole sisters thing. She's like, I have to go save the Chancellor. So
he gives her the new lightsabers that he made blue, and then they get the alert that they got to go to the Battle of Coruscant. They're out of there.
Yeah, I was kind of like, when I was watching, because obviously it was like week by week when it was coming out, just like all the other Disney Plus stuff. I was like, I don't know what I was thinking at this point, but I was like not quite ready for Order 66 to happen. Like I thought it was the next episode. So when it happened, all of a sudden I was like, oh my God. Like it threw me for a loop.
And this came out last year, and they came out like a week at a time. Yeah, I wish they just dropped this show specifically. I wish they dropped it all at once, but it was good to anticipate.
I loved the build up, having to like wait a week and actually like enjoy it for like being able to enjoy it for 12 weeks at a time instead of just watching it all in one day. So I know I wouldn't have been able to stop myself. That's how good it was.
Watch it 10 times.
Like what? I guess those are just some quick things that we. Oh wait, were you about to say something, Drew?
No, go ahead.
I'll just say those are some quick things that we've enjoyed about this season, but it also did some other great things by introducing the Bad Batch, the inspiration.
Oh yeah,
the name of this podcast.
Yeah, they sound a little familiar, I guess.
Yeah, and honestly, like a very cool group of clones that are defected chips, I hope. But I hate to see my man.
We hope.
Yeah, to like
I was actually thinking about that today of how kind of they might be able to get their chips removed. So I think, the main four are probably going to turn to the, dark side, or, the chips are going to work.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was watching today, since Echo was hooked up to all of those things, they obviously like operated on his brain, his head, they did so much to him. The chip they could say something along the lines of like the chip got in the way of all these wires and stuff that needed to go to his brain to steal the Republic's plan. So they just took it out. So now that Echo is a part of the Bad Batch, maybe he doesn't turn, the other four do, and then he has to find a way to get them back on the right side.
I think since you mentioned that, I didn't think of that.
That's a really good idea.
It's a great idea.
I didn't think about that till I watched it today, and I was like, that could be it.
Yeah, that's very true.
So now what I'm thinking is Echo's the only one who doesn't turn. He I guess zaps them and can zap him out really quick because he has that arm.
Yeah, he has all the technical abilities.
Yeah, so he can do that. I also, a weird theory I have, one of them's gonna betray the rest. I really think that's gonna happen.
I think he's my favorite. I'm blanking on his name. I think it's Crosshair. It's definitely him.
Sniper?
The sniper is always the person who either dies first, betrays them, or like.
Oh, he's so cool though. I love Crosshair.
Yeah, dude, the scene where he throws all the mirrors.
I was thinking about that. That he throws the mirrors down. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
And too, that's such a good point right there. Because it gives him so much more weight, and it gives the arc of the Bad Batch in season 7 so much more weight when they had to go get him and everything.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I was thinking about the whole time I was watching it today was how just awesome watching the combat of the Bad Batch is. Because when you see a Jedi fighting droids, okay, it does not matter how many droids there are, they're going to die. But then you see these 4 clones, and they find all these intricate ways to kill the droids, and that no other clones can do. Not even people as talented as Rex or Fives. They have just such a different way of going about it.
Yeah, it's super guerrilla style.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if they're gonna since we're kind of assuming that they're gonna turn and be able to go against Order 66. It makes you kind of wonder if they're gonna run into Jedi at some point and be on their side or help, or go forward with the rebellion or something, if they're gonna go that direction with it, or if they're just gonna be guys in the run and trying to figure that whole.
They're gonna save Grogu at one point. I still think so.
That would be cool.
Great way to introduce him in
animation
and just
connect it all.
Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
So people have to watch the Bad Batch. That's great.
You think there'll be any time jumps in the Bad Batch? Because they're probably gonna show 66, but I don't know.
I think there's gonna be a time jump at some point, or I feel because I don't know if we don't know obviously if they're gonna do a season 2 or if this is a limited series or whatever, but if they did do limited series, they could easily do kind of what obviously depending on the ending, but they could do what Rebels did with the epilogue and kind of give you an overview if they're not gonna release a season 2 or hasn't been renewed yet or whatever.
It's going to be interesting to see who the villain in that series is going to be, because they're going to need somebody to fight, and it's obviously not going to be Vader.
Yeah.
So one of the are they going to introduce another Inquisitor or something? It'll be cool to see.
Because Tarkin I saw is in the the trailer at some point, but I wonder if he's just a one-time kind of cameo deal,
He was so lame in the Clone Wars. Was that this season? No, that was season 5 or 4.
Yeah, that was that was when Ahsoka was in jail and stuff.
Yeah, he was trying to prosecute Ahsoka and get her sent to jail, and then he was also in the Citadel arc. He was Evan Peele's admiral or captain or something, and I just hate that guy so much.
Yeah, he was super lame.
Maybe the other clones will just be the antagonists.
Yeah,
there might not even be a big bad guy. It could just be
that could be true.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder too now, after seeing them with the regular batch of clones that we kind of know and that you see in Rebels and stuff, if that will be a connection again in the Bad Batch series, because obviously now they've worked with each other, they know each other in season 7. Going forward, you could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see how Wolf, we have no idea what happens to Wolf or Gregor, how they get their chips removed. Gregor, like the last time we saw him, he died.
Yeah.
And he just happens to be alive in Rebels. So that'd be really cool if they kind of flesh that all out.
And I wonder too, like, are we starting this directly right the minute after Clone Wars ends, like season 7, you know?
I could see it like maybe like a month later.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just like, yeah, we're gonna have to find the rest of the Jedi. They suck now.
It'd be cool to see because they were supposed to be on Kashyyyk during Order 66. From like, I don't know if that's Legends or canon or whatever, but that is what I've heard.
Oh, interesting. I wonder, this show, like this series, obviously like has set up so much different stuff within, other movie shows, stuff like that. And it kind of makes you wonder. Obviously, the was it the Martez sisters, or am I saying that right? Because I always forget their name.
It's like Trace and Rafa.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know that was like a lot of people were complaining about that when this was going on, and how it like ultimately people feel like it didn't really do anything for the story, and it was like people called it like filler and stuff. But it does kind of make me wonder. A lot of the time, Lucasfilm in general doesn't just throw stuff in. Well, unless you're talking about sequels, like doesn't just throw stuff in for no reason and doesn't follow up on anything. Especially
Dave Filoni.
I should say Dave Filoni. I shouldn't say Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
So I wonder too if they're going to have an impact going forward, and it's going to be one of those things where you're able to look back and go, oh, okay, this mattered more than I thought it did. Just like we've seen with a bunch of stuff in Rebels or Clone Wars or into the Mandalorian now.
Yo, what if they join the Resistance?
Very well could be.
They could help the Bad Batch, all that stuff. We could see Ahsoka again if they show up in the Bad Batch series. That would be cool.
Yeah, because I really too don't feel like they would create these character models, which takes so much time and like designing new characters and getting voice actors and everything for 3 episodes, 2.5 episodes, like. And they're using the same animation style, so it really does make you think like maybe these people also have a bigger impact, like the Bad Batch did when it went away. Before we got the announcement of the series, we all kind of knew like something was going to happen with them at some point.
Yeah. So yeah, well, before we dive into Trace and Rafa, the Bad Batch is we were just discussing that, but was the first arc in the Clone Wars season 7, and what they're doing is just saving Echo. Pretty much. I forget the name of the desert planet, but it's Anakin and the Bad Batch. And then Mason and Obi-Wan help at the end, right?
Yeah, in the final episode.
And so, yeah, very cool arc. I remember I was feeling a little skeptical after the first episode, just a little bit, because the Bad Batch are very cool. And obviously that's the name of our podcast. But then, as Drew just said, that leads to the second arc of season 7, which is Ahsoka on Coruscant with Trace and Rafa, where they're trying to smuggle spice and they do not know she's a Jedi. And I know this one had mixed reception, probably more negative leaning, just because of how it progressed to the actual Clone Wars plot. Yeah,
we just kind of wanted, I think people too just kind of wanted to get where we were going. Like people were getting very impatient that they wanted to see Order 66. They wanted to see what happens with them. And also too, I remember people talking about like feeling kind of pissed that with the lack of Anakin and Obi-Wan in it, up to that point too, like I think people had kind of lofty expectations for what this season was going to be about, having seen like all the trailers and stuff, because you do get a little bit of them, but it's definitely not like what had happened in the past, because it's not like ultimately what I always said to people is like it's not about them at this point. Like
I get those complaints, but they have like 6 movies about them.
Exactly. That's why there's Revenge of the Sith. It's the exact same time period. Just
And speaking on that though, Anakin and Obi-Wan both got some really good parts, like going back to the Bad Batch arc. I know I'm trying to move on, but there is one thing like I just wanted to say, like when in the second episode of season 7 where Anakin like has Rex guard him while he's in the barracks talking like on like Star Wars FaceTime to Padme.
Yeah.
That's like really cool when he leaves, like, because obviously that shows like Anakin's like trust in Rex, that like Rex even knows that he's like defying the Jedi Order. And then as he's leaving, Obi-Wan says, "Say hi to Padme for me." So like,
yeah, I do that. I
like,
loved that.
That blew my mind.
That was the end of the episode too, right? And then the episode ended, or was that at the beginning?
I think it was like somewhere in the middle. I'm not sure.
Either
but
way,
then like
when that happened, I was like,
yeah. That's like that like shows that just touches like goes back to Revenge of the Sith where like Obi-Wan knows he's like it's Anakin's baby, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So crazy. And then the other thing is in the final episode when they're trying to get like the code to stop a bomb and Admiral Trench like won't give it to him, Anakin like fully taps into the dark side and just cuts his arms off like when he's like, "You won't kill me, you're a Jedi." And he's like, "I don't have such weaknesses."
Yeah,
it was just insane.
Anakin had some good moments in that first.
That was a good look into him descending into the dark side.
I think they definitely did Anakin and Obi-Wan justice in season 7, even though it wasn't like necessarily their season.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, I agree with that.
Yeah, because I mean, this season is about Ahsoka, which I do think the Spice, Rafa, and Trace arc did do well. They did show how she'd adapt to being like a civilian and like using her Jedi morals, but also not being like a complete Jedi and where they're annoying, where like we have no emotion and stuff like that.
And too, like this arc did a good job of showing how like everybody else in the galaxy had viewed the Jedi and like the Clone Wars in general, with like the destruction that is caused just from the conflict that affects, people that you don't even think about, with like their parents being killed and stuff. And two, I could be completely wrong in this, but if I'm remembering correctly, when she goes down to them, isn't she on level 1313?
I'm not sure.
Because that was like
the game
that was supposed to drop, and people were like losing their minds about it. It looked really good, and then they canceled it. Yeah, so I think that was like, if I'm correct on that, which I could be wrong, but that was like definitely a nod to that, and just another like definitely such a Dave Filoni thing to put that in there.
Yeah, actually, I want to do a quick overview of this arc before we start giving our opinions on it. So Ahsoka crash lands, I guess, on platform 1313 on Coruscant with her little speeder bike into a little bay that is owned by the Martez sisters, who are Trace and Rafa. And Trace is the younger sister, a little bit naive, but but she's a good person. Like you can tell that she wants to do the right thing. And then Rafa is like a good person too, but is willing to do dirty work to make ends meet for her and her sister, since I don't think their parents aren't around. It's just them two trying to survive in their little mechanic shop. And so things go south. Ahsoka messes up, or I think it's probably Trace and Ahsoka mess up a little robot run, and then they have to end up smuggling spice to make more money. And then Ahsoka tries to talk him out of it, and Trace spills spice. They go to jail. They stay in jail for a whole episode. Least favorite episode of the season, real quick. Just throw that out there.
Get in jail, get out of jail, go back to jail.
Yeah.
Had no purpose whatsoever.
Yeah. And then they
could have taken that out and give us another Mandalore episode.
Yeah. So yeah, since I've already said it, that is definitely my least favorite episode this season. Like there's some cool moments, but nothing happened. They started in jail. They escaped jail. They escaped to going back to jail. So
yeah. Because I remember people reviewing that episode after and be like, what did I just watch?
Did they give him another cell at least?
Yeah.
So maybe they were just to the left.
Wow. So it might have been a little better if they weren't arguing most of the arc too.
Mm-hmm.
It was just arguing, and then she dumped the spice, and I was just like, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, Ahsoka was like, well, okay, like I'm a Jedi kinda, and I would have like sold that, because now we're screwed. Like,
and I mean, it was cool to see, because that was like one of the other times that we've seen Kessel. Like that was cool to see Kessel, and then them dealing with like the Pike Syndicate, a crime syndicate, I guess, that's in Solo, a Star Wars story, and all that stuff. So it was cool. There was cool aspects about it. And then how they tied it with the next arc is definitely cool too.
Mm-hmm.
So does this happen after Solo?
No. Solo happens like a couple years after episode 3.
Okay,
I
because
think
it was like there's a
Han
whole
is probably like 15 right now.
Yeah, Han's young at this point.
Because I was like in Solo, there's a whole uprising, and then I guess it just went back, but no, it happened before.
Yeah, and we see Kessel too in like episode 1 or 2 of Rebels when they're freeing the Wookiees on Kessel as well, and that's where like Kanan breaks out the lightsaber for the first time in like years, and Inquisitor and everything's there.
Love seeing Wookiees no matter where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Always awesome to see where like what Wookiees are up to.
Yeah, hopefully hopefully the Bad Batch are on Kashyyyk and they're like starting the show.
I want to see more Kashyyyk.
Kashyyyk is such a cool planet, and like it's a big focus in Fallen Order. If you've played that,
yeah, that was an awesome mission.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and you got to fight Inquisitor 9. I forgot the bigger one.
Yeah, I think it
was cool.
But yeah.
So what did you guys think of Trace and Rafa?
It was not out of the 3. It was like, of course, my least favorite one. I wouldn't necessarily like classify it as filler, because if you compare it to like some of the filler that's in Rebels and early on in the Clone Wars, like there's worse stuff to be had for sure.
It's better than a droid only episode.
It is better than a droid.
I like the droid only episode. I didn't hate it.
Well,
I didn't hate
up with that too at one point, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
I didn't hate this arc. I just think it's like the worst of the 3.
Yeah. I don't think I would ever watch it again, like go out of my way to watch it again. But like comparing it to some of the stuff like Drew said earlier in like the first couple seasons, like the Senate episodes, those are just automatic skips for me. I'm not watching. I don't care about the politics as much. Like, at least there was some like good action. Like you got to see Ahsoka. Like there was stuff to be excited about.
And especially you get the Bad Batch right before, and then it just kind of trickles down. But it's still not awful.
It sets up something good though. So I'm still.
And I also understand the Trace and Rafa dynamic. Older sister, younger sister. One is just like, I'm so good, we gotta do the right thing, and then the other one's like, no, I don't know how old you are, you're a kid though, and you're not smart. So
which I guess you could like kind of equate that to early on with Anakin and Ahsoka, like always being frustrated but wanting to do the right thing in general, but willing to do you know what I mean?
The older sister didn't want to do the right things, but she wanted them to survive. That was her biggest thing.
She wanted to do right by them instead of like others, which
is understandable.
Yeah, but Rafa's the one who has a real grudge with the Jedi. Like, oh, the Jedi are so good, why didn't they save my parents?
Yeah.
Or when they tried to save the lower parts, they just like spouted philosophy at them. It's like, oh, you're fine.
Yeah, dude, I would understand like if I was in the Star Wars universe and some guy was like, be with self, and I'd be like, dude, like, actually, never mind. I don't want to go down that road. You know, when people knock on the door. But yeah,
makes sense. But yeah,
so I hope they, like you said, Drew, I hope they come back. Maybe like as a resistance, they're like, oh, we can help Ahsoka. I hope they come back.
Yeah, actually serve like a stronger purpose. Yeah.
Or I mean, even in the Ahsoka series, maybe they do live action. Who knows?
I feel like if they do add them, that's just gonna be a lot because we already want so much from the Ahsoka show.
Exactly. Yeah, that'd be a cram.
And if they didn't add like Ezra and Sabine, brought back the Martez sisters, dude, people would.
Oh no.
They wouldn't do that. Star Wars has enough to worry about with like people already hating the sequels.
God.
They're definitely gonna play it safe. Like I think we'll see. I think we're good to see Ezra and see Sabine.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope, Martinez.
Yeah, that was so
Vice 1 Part 2. Could you imagine?
Good Lord. But yeah, I mean, also too, to like how they wrap up this like this arc as well, with Bo-Katan and what do they call themselves? The owls or the
something like that.
They have like a name for their
I want to say Court of Owls, but that's Batman.
I forget. I'm blanking on what it is right now.
Something owls. It's definitely something owls.
So what happens ultimately? Like if you've watched it, you know they're always kind of in the background, and then Bo-Katan talks to Ahsoka because like they know each other from the entire rest of the war. And then that perfectly bridges into why Ahsoka's in Mandalore and why Obi-Wan night owls. Yeah, Justin, there you go.
Oh, I was just trying to throw it in there because I just looked it up. I wanted to make
very good.
If you remember.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I thought it's cool that that's how they bridged it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're going into the last arc,
the Siege of Mandalore.
Best part of all of Clone Wars and some of the best Star Wars.
This is what the listeners came for today.
Yeah, exactly.
So Ahsoka not being with Anakin, if she was, I really feel like she would not have, or he wouldn't have turned to the dark side, or something would have happened. But I also think if she was by his side, she would have died.
Yeah, I mean, just everything like Anakin like ends up going through in episode 3, like it would have been interesting to see that, like, in that's almost like one of those things that we've talked about before, like what if Star Wars did a what if thing, you know?
That would be so cool.
Like Marvel is. But I think if Anakin was there, like Maul, there's no shot, especially if Ahsoka was there with him, like Maul would have no chance. Like
no, not even close. Anakin's way too powerful.
Yeah, that would have been like a complete mismatch.
Yeah, the what if thing would be so cool though, because like I'm sure you guys are probably the same way. I've seen Revenge of the Sith probably a couple million times now, but I'm still always waiting for Anakin not to turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Every time.
Every single time. Like, he's not going to do it this time.
But
I'm like, dude, he deserves trial. I'm like, dude, no.
Yeah,
but like, it makes sense because he becomes Darth Vader and people love that. But you don't need to kill Mace Windu.
This arc, like, I think it was really nice to see like the parallels with episode 3 with the friendship that Anakin had with Ahsoka and had with Obi-Wan. Like there's a ton of stuff when they're saying goodbye and like there's scenes that they cut that look exactly the same. And though I was really very curious going into this, wondering how they were going to tie it in with episode 3, because this ends like these bridge together. So I was definitely, that was one of the things that I was super curious about walking into this season, wondering how they were going to do this, and I think they did it like perfectly. What do you guys think about how they bridged it together?
No, yeah, I thought it was well done. Yeah, like we saw, or like we shouted out earlier, I mean, they're really like in sync. Like when I forgot what part in Revenge of the Sith is. Mace Windu's talking with Yoda. Oh, yeah, it's with what about the droid attack on the Wookiees, right? Is it that scene? Like Ahsoka was there like 30 seconds.
Yeah, she walks in.
Mm-hmm. Or
that's when Mace.
Kanan was on that call too.
Oh yeah, he was.
Mm-hmm. And that's when Mace like could have, it kind of became another reason for why like Anakin fell, because Ahsoka has to tell like what Maul said, and then she's like, oh, I have something to tell you, and then Mace is like, this is a council matter, citizen, and she's like, and she's just like, damn.
Like, okay.
It's Windu.
I guess I'm not gonna say anything.
All right, die then.
Good luck dealing with Darth Vader.
Have fun getting your arm chopped off and force lightning out a window.
Yeah, and then falling to your death. And like, who knows how deep Coruscant is? Like, dude, that's a long fall. So
I thought like in this arc, especially too, had some of the best action within the entire series too. I think the Siege of Mandalore was like one of the best like cinematic events in the entire Clone Wars series as well.
And you see how conniving Maul is. He's just like, we're gonna take over Mandalore. And he's like, dude, I have my own agenda. I can't believe you guys are trusting me, but like this is gonna work.
He's like, I can't believe you guys are trusting me. That's crazy.
Yeah, we also get introduced to Crimson Dawn. We see Dryden Voss from Solo.
Yeah.
And then all that. Yeah,
some of the best action is right when they start the siege, and then Rex is like, I forgot to bring you a jetpack, and Ahsoka's like, I don't need one. And just like, and that's when she makes her like super cool entrance.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was when I was like, yeah, Ahsoka's my favorite.
Yeah.
I think I'm right there with you, BJ.
And those scenes with Ahsoka and Maul in that like throne room, I guess you could call it, were unbelievable. Like
the dialogue was just incredible.
Yeah, she said like, yeah, I'll help you.
Yeah, and then he says something about Anakin. She doesn't believe him. That's where the fight starts.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, it just was so beautifully done in a way where it like parallels a lot of different stuff in the Star Wars, like even like the Rey and Kylo Ren stuff when they're trying to do basically the same thing, and Anakin and all kinds of stuff that like it pulls on a bunch of different strings and tropes that they use, but like kind of in a new way. And that whole fight scene with them all over and like at the top of Mandalore was just unreal.
Yeah, that's like the only like real motion captured fights. They use real people in motion capture that. That's why it's like it easily stands up as one of the best fight scenes in all Star Wars live action or animation, I would say.
And it's wild too when he basically just like let me die. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
Because he knew.
Like, I don't want to be around for all
he
that.
He knows everything that's going down. Like, he's the only one of the few people that knows, and he does not want to be around for it.
And I like how they used him as kind of that, like, that plot driving force to, we know what's coming. Someone in there kind of too also knew it was coming, and to have like the stakes be that high and do that, I thought was really cool.
It's another thing they did just to make like Maul's character so great. Like, whereas like, he was in Phantom Menace, he had one line that didn't mean anything, and now he's just this super developed character, like fan favorite.
Yeah, and he's just a survivor. Like, he does whatever it takes.
He's like, kill me in this, and then like, how long does he survive until like almost the end of Rebels?
Yeah, like 15 more years.
Yeah, even another thing in this is like when he first meets her in the sewer, he's like, I was hoping for Kenobi. What are you doing here? It's all part of his like master plan just to get back at Obi-Wan.
What a grudge. Dude, you'd like destroy Mandalore because you hate Obi-Wan Kenobi so much.
I like too in this arc how dark they really went with it. And like you could even like tell that from the jump where they were like change the color and the intro of the Clone Wars.
Oh, it was red, right?
The red and the tone and everything changed. But the best like showing of that is the hallway scene with Maul. Like the fact that they were willing to go that dark in this show, I think was just.
I mean, it was the last season. They're like, might as well.
Yeah.
That's one thing I love about the Clone Wars is they're not afraid to show people die. Like Rebels, it was like a lot of it. I liked Rebels a lot, but a lot of the combat would be Ezra cuts their blasters off and then force pushes him and knocks him out. Like in this, it's like it is serious. There's serious stakes more than anything.
Yeah,
every death in Rebels is like that, or like a blown up ship where you're like, wow, 100,000 people just died, but they're not even like kind of touch on that.
God forbid they show someone get hit with a lightsaber. They'll like cut their jetpack and they'll like spin away.
Well, it was on Disney XD.
They did do that a lot when Ahsoka's like entering. Ahsoka cuts a lot of their jetpacks, but she like kind of used she like cuts one of their jetpacks and then she takes him for a ride, which is like really cool. And she uses him to help her get to the next gunship.
Exactly.
Oh, let's also talk about all the clones and how much they respect Ahsoka.
I was just showing that. I'll show that again.
Oh my God, I almost teared up watching that.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. It was awesome. The page of it, like Anakin's just like it's about respect for the clones, and then just the door opens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool like stylistic choice to make it different than the rest of the seasons too, but also to show, like you were saying, the respect is really cool, and how even with leaving, how much they like garner respect for her.
Yeah, that's just one of my favorite things about like clones in general is how like they all like have their customized armor. Each one of them, like that's such a good thing that the Clone Wars did, is give all these people the same voice, the same face, completely different personalities, and make them like distinguishable.
Yeah,
and that's like a huge like. Go ahead, BJ.
Oh yeah, I was just saying they're like humanize them too.
Yeah. That's like a huge kudos to like D. Bradley Baker, the voice actor. Like that is just takes so much talent to do something like that and completely change all these people.
Use the same voice but have like different inflection, different.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like crazy.
And when they did, like, they were able to take these like nameless, faceless soldiers, give them like character development, give them personality throughout the entire series. But to like especially at the tail end of like after 66 happens to show Rex's like how much it hurts him to go against them, but he knows like what he's doing is the right thing, and he knows like this is wrong what they're doing. Especially when they're on that bridge and they're trying to get the ship and they're overlooking, and he's like crying, and they're just like all of the 501st are just like sitting there looking at them. I thought that part was crazy.
Yeah, the way he's crying, like you could just like you feel that so much.
Because he has to like betray his brothers pretty much.
If the clones ever go live action to Tamara Morrison, they're gonna have a hard time playing so many people.
Yeah,
we're not gonna see a lot of faces.
Yeah,
there's all helmets.
So much CGI. But also, like we talked about a little bit earlier, we're talking about how we didn't like the drone or the droid episodes, but like don't all the droids like just die in this? Don't they just?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that. I think you brought it up a couple of weeks ago, BJ. They're actually droids from the droid episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
figure out something to do.
One of them is like Ahsoka's astromech droid that's introduced in like one of the very first episodes of the Clone Wars, or maybe even like the movie back in 2007.
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, they go off.
But yeah, I mean, it just like they did such a good job with showing, like we were saying, the stakes in every aspect of it. Like the stakes the risks that she was taking, trying to get Rex to realize and fix him while she was like about to almost die. And like gets hit in the arm and all that stuff, and also the stakes with trusting Maul and getting him to cause chaos, and he's like asks her for her lightsaber, and she's like, absolutely not.
I'm not. She says, I'm not rooting for you. You're a distraction.
Exactly.
So awesome.
Which I just thought it was cool to like, and like we're going back to the clones and everything to see the stakes. Because there was time there where I was like, how is she getting off this ship? Because obviously Maul leaves her. Abandons her when she was supposed to get on the ship. But I was like, we know they survive, right? We've seen Rebels.
Well, actually, I didn't see Rebels like before. I watched all of Clone Wars first. Didn't watch Rebels. But actually, Brianna, our other guest, she like ruined it, saying she was in Rebels. So it helped me, because if Ahsoka died, I would have been so pissed.
Oh yeah.
It's still like something they did so well, though. Even though, like for people, like I hadn't watched Rebels yet, but I knew that Ahsoka and Rex were both in it. But they did such a good job of making you like still be worried whether like they're gonna live or not. You like this isn't possible.
Yeah, and kind of going to like where this ends up going at the end, like after all this stuff happens. The way they were able to bridge the end of this series with like the era of Rebels, the era of A New Hope and the original trilogy, I thought was like so spot on with how they showed her and when she buried all of them. Like it shows the flip side of that respect that we were talking about, how she respects them as well. And leaving the one lightsaber, like that showed how she was like throwing that part away, and she was on the run now and all that kind of stuff. With that flip to Darth Vader, I mean, get out.
This is my favorite shot in the whole the whole season. It's tied. Maybe not this one, actually. I think it's this one where you see him in the reflection of the helmet. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
It was cool too. They had when he first picks up the lightsaber and ignites it, you see the like, I can't remember what it's called. It's the bird that like represents
the owl that follows Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Mora or whatever, I think.
Yeah. The one from whatever the like Force planet was in like season 3.
So like Ahsoka's basically the personification of the light side, because that light side owl gave up her life.
Yeah. She is fully good in every way.
BJ, what was the thing? Was it you? It might have been you, Drew, who sent me at the Megazord equivalent. Or was it Ahsoka's compassion? Is that what it was?
I believe it was. And like I said to you, I was like, I need to see these two meet. Like I need to breathe. Like they have to meet at some point in live action.
Like you're talking about Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I mean you're spot on with like what Ahsoka ends up ends up exemplifying it is the good, like the where it starts with innocence and then it goes to like knowledge and power, and but always making the right decision and looking out for everybody else. And I just think that last scene with her like showed that so well. And then the symbolism too with Darth Vader finding the lightsaber that he made for her, or he tweaked or whatever you want to call it, and holding that and just having that as the final shot, like, oh my god.
Yeah, and he knows Ahsoka's alive, and like that's the last part of there.
No, I don't think he does. I thought he thought she was dead, because when they do meet in Rebels, he's like, so the apprentice lives.
Yeah, I think he thought that her leaving that lightsaber there, that was like her, that they killed her or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's funny too, because I don't know if you guys have read the Ahsoka book or not, and I haven't for like
I need to read a lot.
But they there was some stuff. A lot of the first like chapter of that book is a rough guideline of like where you could see they were going with this season. It was like obviously when they were like right before they wrote it, so they had a rough idea. So some of the stuff in that book is slightly different than from what we got in Rebels, but overall it's extremely similar. Like she didn't have the blue lightsabers in the book. She still had like green, I believe, at the beginning. And then, but there was like at the end, they don't go into the detail of the ship crashing and all that stuff, but I believe they do talk about her burying them and also leaving her lightsabers as like her putting that part of her life away and walking away and trying to just survive. And two, like she when she leaves the like after Order 66 and stuff, she goes and play, and that actually, I'm just realizing this, but the whole run with the sisters and the spice and all that kind of like ends up connecting, because she ends up becoming a mechanic on like 2 different planets. So it's like that ties in with that arc too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, needed those 3 episodes to show that she knows how to work on a starfighter.
There we go.
Kind of like the same thing Cal Kestis was doing when he was like trying to like keep hidden. He was just like a mechanic or shipyard builder or something.
Maybe she went. We don't know where Ahsoka was between that and Rebels, right?
Yeah, because
she's Fulcrum. She might just like immediately go to some rebel. So
yeah. It'd be cool if they fleshed that out in the Bad Batch.
Yeah, we touch on that at some point. I think like you got to use that period of time to do that, to answer these kind of questions and stuff.
But you also can't have like Ahsoka coming in and taking the spotlight, because like anything she's going to be in, like it's kind of like how in The Mandalorian, like she was only that 1 episode, because if she was more, it's the Ahsoka show now, not The Mandalorian.
Because then it's just Clone Wars season 8, you know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been angry about that, but whatever.
Yeah, but like
I wouldn't have been either, but it's
they had Ahsoka in season 2 and season 3. They're like, all right, dude, there's too much Ahsoka, too much Rex, too much people from the past. We need to like.
Well, they had to do that because before there was no one when it first started.
Yeah,
people were just trying to get used to it, but bringing those people back kind of helped in Rebels.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say like going back, just overall, I think this is by far my favorite season, and I've gone back multiple times and just watched the final 4 episodes, just because I was like, I want to watch a movie, you know.
I want to watch a movie, but I want to watch a movie.
Exactly, it's like that perfect in between. But yeah,
there's a really cool Easter egg when Ahsoka is trying to like get Rex, the chip out of Rex. She has to use like a passcode to get through, and she uses Anakin's passcode, and it's 8108, which is actually the August 1st, 2008 was when the Clone Wars first aired. It's like a Dave Filoni thing to do.
Yeah, that's a fun fact.
And didn't she do the thing from Rogue One, the Chirrut Inway thing with a moment with the Force is with me kind of thing?
She did, yeah. That was cool too. That was a cool like throwback or forward, I guess.
And that's the cool thing about, you know, these series, or this series in general, especially this season, with how much little detail and stuff that Dave Filoni puts into stuff and actually looks forward to the things that people like us would like talk about, stuff like that, and that it ends up paying off for like connecting to other stuff. And there's a reason you watch these shows that connect to the movies, that connect to the series and stuff.
And it's very fan servicey, but like not like in your face.
Yeah, it's not abrupt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think, like I was saying, overall, like this is definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I don't know, because I really like season 5 of the Clone Wars too, and season 4. But like this one was just like the perfect like
send off.
finish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they did it kind of in the perfect way too, where, you know, people had waited for something like this because when, you know, Disney acquired Lucasfilm and Cartoon Network ended that agreement, it did end like they ended it in a good way, but it was abrupt. And then there was all those, you know, half finished things with just the like voice acting and bad CGI on, you could find them on YouTube. And they took some of those arcs and they didn't use some of the other ones. And they definitely changed the story from what it was originally going to be. But I think this was well worth the wait for a bunch of people that would going forward and kind of allowed them to take Star Wars in the direction away from the sequels that was like such a dividing factor.
How long had it been since Clone Wars? Like
7 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, 7.
It was just especially cool for like, I'd say like people like my age, because I like grew up with that. I was 7 years old in 2008 when it premiered, and then I get to my freshman year of college when I get to finally watch and finish it off, which is so great.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That also works because like once you're in like middle school, high school, you kind of stop watching those kid shows, and then when you get to college, you start watching them again. Like perfect.
Yeah, because I think you like kind of drop the whole like I need to be super cool. You're like, dude, I'm gonna do exactly what I want to do. I want to watch Star Wars shows. So
I mean, I was playing Pokemon no matter what. I don't care.
You know, that's a BJ thing. But no, Pokemon's still great. Game Boy games are amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so any final thoughts or any tidbits that you guys would like to add on the Clone Wars?
I know Brandon Fryer is watching it right now, and I'm super excited for him to get to the last season.
Mm.
Yeah, he's almost way through. What did he say? He was on season 6, like episode 5. So he's about to get in the thick of it.
Oh yeah, it's like right after the 5s arc too.
Mm-hmm. So that'll definitely be exciting to like see what his thoughts on that too are, like from someone who never knew anything about this series.
Yeah, so Clone Wars was basically my first like Star Wars iteration, and I wasn't gonna watch Rebels, but it got to the last season and I didn't know what happened to Ahsoka, and I was like, now I have to watch it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Clone Wars, very special, very amazing, loved it. That middle Spice Run arc was okay. I hope they bring them back, but not in the Ahsoka show.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they bring them back.
Yeah, Clone Wars as a whole, the whole arc structure, I think is very cool because you get to dive into all these different characters. I mean, not for this last season because they're trying to wrap stuff up with Ahsoka and then the Bad Batch introduction. And that's not really wrapping it up, but they introduced them for the future show. But yeah, the Clone Wars definitely has a very special place in my heart and on some of the best Star Wars content that there ever is.
It's my personal favorite era of Star Wars. I love everything about it.
Mm-hmm. So I know we only discussed season 7 today, but for the future, Drew, we'll have to have you on to talk about more. Maybe we'll dive through 1 through 6 or go one at a time.
Yeah, I would love to join.
For sure. Yeah, we'll definitely have to do that because I know there's going to be, after the Bad Batch, there's a little like a lull in content that's coming out. So yeah, we'll definitely, maybe we could do like cover it season by season or arcs or however kind of we want to do it. But yeah, that would be awesome if we could do that again.
Really cool.
Yeah, but Drew Squared, any final thoughts?
Like I said, I loved it. I still watch it and I couldn't suggest it more to anybody.
Gotta go agree right there.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better.
All right, yeah, before we wrap up, I would like to announce that I think it's April 1st, and I don't think it's a joke. Maybe it's the day after. It's also Drew's birthday. Crispell Drew, not Allegra Drew. But the Clone Wars, forget the artist's name, but the team who made Samurai Jack, that iteration of the Clone Wars is coming to Disney Plus, right?
Yeah, I have not watched that yet. I've only seen some episodes, so that will be a whole new adventure for me.
Yeah, that's exciting.
I'm so excited to watch that. That's how I found out Anakin was Darth Vader when I was younger. Because he like looked into like a puddle or something and like saw Darth Vader, and I was like, what?
What is Darth Vader doing in the water?
I was like, what?
That you get to see him cut off the braid. The coolest thing ever. I know I bring that up every time.
Yeah, that is cool. That's the one like episode I've watched.
Yeah. Ventress was so scary. Oh my god.
And so was Grievous. And then Mace.
And that's why you get to see. That's why Grievous coughs, is because Mace Windu force crushes his chest cavity.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll exactly be canon, since I'm sure some stuff will contradict, but you'll get to see some cool little stories.
Yeah, and we'll definitely talk about that going forward and do reviews of that and stuff. But cool, yeah. I mean, Drew, awesome. Thanks for obviously coming on and talking this with us. Like we said, we'll have to figure something out with the other seasons and have you back on to talk about it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys know where you can find us. You can find us, the Bad Batch Podcast, on YouTube, on Instagram, Bad Batch Pod on Twitter. You can find me at Drew Crispell on Twitter. Drew, go ahead and, wherever you want the people to find you, if you want them to, if you don't want them to, then all good, all the same.
Feel free to find me at Drew Allegra on Instagram. That's about all I have.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, thanks for listening to our talk on Winter Soldier and season 7 of the Clone Wars, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.